Hey, how are you? I'm SliceofOtaku, and once again, I want to present to you all a theory I have centered around SheRa and her relationship with the first ones. And to get right to it, I don't think SheRa, or even Adora for that matter, are human, as there seems to be a substantial amount of evidence to support this claim. My initial speculation began with the 6th episode of the first season titled System Failure. And in this episode, the SheRa trio visit Entrapta's castle in an attempt to recruit her for the rebellion, but meet a hiccup due to Entrapta's earlier tinkering with First One's tech, seemingly triggering a failsafe of some sort, resulting in the swift spread of a rather malicious virus. And this virus would go on to infect all software and hardware in the vicinity, causing them to become violent. And so when SheRa dispatched one of these robots directly, her sword begins to contract the virus as well, which makes total sense as the sword itself is technically a First One's relic. But it doesn't just stop there. SheRa herself also becomes infected with her sword acting as a conduit. She suddenly becomes enraged and destructive with no real purpose behind her actions as her eyes go red. And I suppose you could argue that because the sword was infected, the powers it bestowed upon Adora were altered as well, which is why she's like this, which I agree with. However, it does beg the question as to how SheRa's powers and transformation worked in the first place. This world, Etheria, is very much built upon Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So to put things into layman's terms, SheRa's sword is a piece of advanced hardware capable of transmitting a sort of advanced software solely to a compatible vessel. And based on Adora's brief flashbacks, we at the very least know that she wasn't born on Etheria, as she was actually able to see stars as an infant. And so I'm under the impression that Adora's interaction with the sword activated some sort of dormant code, which gradually removes certain restrictions the further she progresses, which is distinctly different from how all other princesses gain their powers. In that case, they siphon their abilities from the respective runestone, with the runestone acting as a battery they periodically interact with. But it's not as if you necessarily have to be a princess to use this power, as illustrated by Shadow Weaver. And even though Glimmer manages to remove the sword from SheRa and her transformation wears off, Adora is still affected. She becomes akin to a drunken mess, as her motor, optical, and critical thinking skills are all detrimentally hindered. She's almost like a computer having a hard time booting back up. And when this happens, Entrapta provides us with some interesting dialogue. At first, she refers to Adora as she, but upon observing this, she shifts it to calling her it, also saying that she would need to take her apart to definitively conclude the cause of the problem, which may easily be brushed off by the viewer as Entrapta's social ineptitude talking, but I think that she's too smart for that. She easily put two and two together and came to a conclusion she believed was a mutual understanding, seeing Adora as something similar to her bots. And funny enough, once the source of the virus is destroyed, Adora is instantly sobered up. And I guess something else worth noting is that when initially faced by the robot she contracted the virus from, SheRa falls victim to a painful sound that surprisingly only she can hear, which I found to be very similar to the call she received from Lighthope that led her to leaving the Horde in search for the sword, which was something no one else could hear despite her being incredibly far from the sword. Not to mention that the time Adora spent with Lighthope alone was revealed to all be within her mind as Swiftwind found her alone in a sleep-like state. Now, as fascinating as this all may be, what does it change exactly? What does it mean for the future? Well, for me, it makes the first ones and continued contact with their tech all the more dangerous as there's still so much we don't know about them. But if we're more so speaking in terms of the immediate future, well, Entrapta being with the Horde with now expanded jurisdiction due to Catra's promotion poses a serious problem. The disc that infected Adora was supposed to be destroyed, but Entrapta, being the inventive mind that she is, recovered it despite the dangers, so it's bound to resurface at some point or another. And considering SheRa is pretty much the biggest hurdle in their plans, holding what is pretty much her kryptonite can't hurt. And I also wonder how such a revelation would impact Adora's thoughts on herself and the first ones. But for now, let me know what you all may be thinking about when it comes to this stuff. And if you are a fan of the Princesses of Power, then you'll be happy to know that plenty more SheRa videos are on the way. And if you happen to also enjoy anime and manga content as well, over on the Otaku YouTube channel, we cover all that goodness, so go ahead and check us out. Links in both the description and the end card. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.